up, guys? Welcome to Plan B here at Reality Decoded, part of the Shit Video Productions Network. Thank you for those of you that were patiently waiting over at the shit show and have come to join me here where we are going to wait things out. So apologies, guys, I don't really have anything planned for you at the minute. Let me get rid of that little groovy thumbnail that I threw together. And why the hell am I coming to you in colour? Hold on a second. It always glitches like this. There we are. Glorious, glorious black and white. I feel so much comfortabler and happier in my skin when things... I wish real life was in black and white and not multicolored. But anyway, thank you, guys, for joining me here. I haven't really got anything planned. We did have the shit show scheduled. I got a lot of stuff sort of ready to go for that presentation, but unfortunately I'm unable to get hold of Elle at the minute. I don't want to sort of cause alarm bells or cause concern or worry needlessly, but I haven't heard from her for a little while. But the last I did hear from her, she said she's going to lie down and take a nap. We did a little bit of a morning session putting together what we intended to bring you, and may still be able to bring you at some point this evening, the shit show Saturday night at 7, which was titled, or is titled, Shooting from the Hip. If or not that is going to air tonight will remain to be seen. But rather than sort of keep you all waiting over there in the chat indefinitely without word, I thought let's go to Plan B, which is we're now live and active. Evolve and adapt is sort of a survivalist prepper mantra, and when sort of things are not necessarily going as according to plan, and that is a thing. Sometimes life does get in the way of life, and sometimes, you know, all the best laid plans do go out of the window when situations do arise that are unforeseen. So fingers crossed no unforeseen situations have arose with Al in I'm hoping she's well. I'm not hijacking the proceedings this evening. Welcome Glynis, D Nice Denise, Joe Ayala, Maiden Montana, Kelly Kibo. So we do have some cool cats hanging here. We were up to I think 9 people waiting at one point, but I guess people, you know, get impatient with no sort of word of what is happening and maybe went off to do other things. So please forgive me, although I sort of am prepared for some shit video productions this evening. I'm not exactly prepared for this shit video production that we're now seeing. This was sort of thrown together last minute. Thank you very much for the comments on the intros. It is a little bit of a thing I have a hard on for, excuse that expression. I do sometimes enjoy putting together my intros for presentations, and sometimes I like to do themed intros for certain themed shows that we are doing. So it is always nice to get some positive feedback on those intros, and that is actually the first intro that I did actually put together for Reality Decoded nearly 2 years ago. Actually, I think it's over 2 years, getting on for 3 years. My goodness, where does time go? But I have sort of re-edited it a little bit from the original version, so I really do appreciate any positive and even negative criticism on my editing and skills of that nature. That's something I sort of taught myself during the sort of early days of the lockdown when I was out of work. I had plenty of time on my hands, and where I sort of used to YouTube on my days off and in my sort of spare time. Editing can be extremely time consuming, and if you have sort of OCDs like I do, then sometimes even more so. But that was something I sort of taught myself to do when I had sort of time on my hand, and actually started to sort of enjoy it once I started to sort of find a few skills and figure out what I was doing. Because you know, although you can find tutorials on YouTube, when you sort of don't know how to edit, it's like, where do you start? And that was a little bit similar to my YouTube endeavors. I remember I sort of had the idea for the thrift store prepper, and then like, I don't really know how to make videos. And I think when I was sort of trying to make my first video, I did try to make a little 30-second intro for TSP TV, or Thrift Store Prepper as it was in its infancy. And it took me something like 3 hours, and it still looked absolutely sort of shit. So I'm sort of on that experience, which was my first editing outing, I decided, you know what, fuck this shit, this is a lot of noise I could do without, let's just go unedited. But since I did start editing, I do get a little bit OCD about it, and the reason I'm talking about my editing, because yesterday we did see here at Reality Decoded, as part of Shit Video Productions, FEMA Friday, and believe it or not, FEMA Friday was thrown together like in concept on sort of Thursday afternoon. Once we finished that Thursday stream over at the Shit Show Trains Off Track, and when we kind of come up with the idea for FEMA Friday, we didn't sort of expect it to turn into the all-day event that it really did. And even sort of before we started streaming on the Shit Show yesterday, Al and myself got together at sort of 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30 maybe, and started putting our heads together, going through researching stuff, bringing, I've got this to show, you've got that to show, blah, blah, blah. And before we knew it, it was almost showtime. And before we knew it, the day had gone, and we'd sort of put in a good 8 hours of streaming, which is quite exhausting mentally. You know, it's not sort of physically intensive, but it does sort of take a lot out of you being around computer screens and technologies, and certainly sort of engrossed within bubbles of frequencies that these devices do sort of emit out, which is stuff we've talked about. It should be familiar to you guys if you are a regular offender. We do have some new regular offenders here at Reality Decoded. Great to see that. Great to see some comments. Welder Princess, you snuck in, as well as Mick Brown. Why, hi lad, how are you doing? Are you from Newcastle? Am I thinking that right? But you're saying you're from Shropshire there. That would be Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury is in Shropshire, I believe. Play at the Gay Meadows Stadium. Very strange. We're up to double digits. My goodness, I've already met, although as soon as I said that, we lost a viewer and we're down to 9. But as I said, guys, I'm sort of holding the fort, waiting on word from Al. Hopefully that will come sooner than later. And as I said, a little bit of this is sort of out of my control. She does have the sort of control panel on her side of the things, and it sort of would be unfair for me to go live solo on the Shit Show. It is both of our channels. It is part of the Shit Video Network, and you know, I'm certainly a little bit revitalized as a result of my streaming endeavors with Al in sort of putting together the Shit Show. And that was sort of a concept that got thrown together, although not last minute, and sort of very rapidly. We had been sort of toying with the idea for quite some time, that maybe we should collab on a joint channel, and you know, talk is cheap, acting is the way to go. So we sort of I was a guest caller on her show a little while ago, and that was part of me trying to reignite and get a little bit of enthusiasm for sort of YouTube and sort of productions and editing and sort of stuff like that, which is something I don't really have a lot of time for, certainly since I've relocated to Mexico. And I gotta admit that my distractions are outside, and I feel very sort of guilty for spending too much time inside, when you know, all I ever sort of wanted during the winter months in Canada was to be able to be outside and enjoy warm weather. And you know, I got an abundance of warm weather. I got a beautiful tropical environment to explore, lots of nature, and that is sort of what does preoccupy myself. I'm sort of preoccupied not being occupied, if that is even a thing. Hey, good to see you break the spell. So I do apologize. As I said, sometimes things are out of our hands. We have no sort of control over it, and as I said, I'm sort of what do we do? Do we cancel? Do we make the most of what the situation we have? We've got a few people watching and waiting over there. I thought, let's be opportunist and, as I said, adapt and evolve. And yeah, I could actually. I mean, Wi-Fi permitting, I did sort of think I've got a nice balcony upstairs, but when I do get upstairs, for some reason, the Wi-Fi signal does get a little bit weak, which is sort of strange. It's not that far away from the router, but yeah, I do have some intentions of maybe coming outside and showing you around a little bit, but it's getting dark here. I don't think you'd see much even if you did. I can I'm looking at my computer. That's another thing that's very sort of strange, because in my sort of Shit Video Productions experiences up until very recently, everything, all my editing, all my researching, all my recording, all my streaming, all my uploads, everything comes through my phone. I hardly ever use my laptop. Although I do have one, I've never really used it for anything other than sort of having the stream on in the background. So I've got the chat is larger, and I can kind of read it out of the corner of my eye, and it also gives me a glimpse of what you guys are seeing, as opposed to what I'm seeing, because it's a different view for me as a streamer, and than it is as a viewer. But using Streamlabs, which we sort of use over the shit show to live stream, is very different to using Prism's streaming app, which I use on my phone, and I just found myself not looking at my phone, which I'm actually streaming on, going to my computer. I was going to pick it up and take you outside, but I'm even more mobile with the phone, so I don't know if you'll be able to see anything when I do go out and have a little look. Sleeping dogs, let sleeping dogs lie. There's also a sleeping cat and a pug that don't you dare chew through that electrical cable or that lighter. So those are the sort of unofficial shit video production mascots. I could almost lie and say I am recording in front of a live audience, although they are asleep. But not an awful lot to see really. It is that sort of time of night that sort of the sun sets and the moon comes up, but it's a little bit cloudy at the minute, and I think we've got some rain heading in this evening. There were a couple of cracks of thunder while we were waiting in the chat over at the shit show, and I thought, well, maybe we're going to get some thunder in the background and catch some tropical lightning perhaps, but it didn't develop into anything too much. But the other sort of thing I don't like so much about sort of streaming outside is you tend to draw attention to yourself and sort of neighbours and what have you sometimes have wandering minds and wondering what you're up to, and may get themselves sort of involved unwantedly, especially when you are streaming live, you know. That does sort of present what's the word I'm looking for? Potential hazards that could, you know, when you are live, anything can happen, and sometimes will happen, and you sort of can't account for the actions of others, and that is sort of something that it has sort of prevented from, well, I could do it in my front garden, it's sort of my own property and sort of private space, it's not too much of a problem. But one of my earliest experiences, in fact, I'd only been in Mexico a few days, and I was actually out and about doing some recording in the place that I was living at the time, which was sort of out, not necessarily in the middle of nowhere, but it was sort of a little bit remote. It was sort of a small town in the jungle. But I was out and about doing some recording in this sort of little town. There's like a little sort of square in the middle with a bandstand and stalls and shops and stuff, and I was sort of trying to capture a little bit of this on camera. And the next minute I was very aware that a couple of guys were following behind me. A couple of young guys, you know, teenagers, you know, I wouldn't have thought they were older than 20, in probably, you know, between 15 and 20 years old. And they were sort of following me, and the next sort of thing I knew, this one guy, the older of the two boys, come over and sort of knocked my phone and camera out of my hand and pulled a Beretta on me and sort of started gibbering and shouting at me in sort of Spanish, and you know, I tried to explain, I don't understand you, I'm just a gringo making a video for YouTube, or what's the problem, sort of thing. And it did escalate very obviously. I'm here to tell the tale, so I didn't go, oh my goodness, can you hear that? I just manifested the thunder. Did you just hear that crack of thunder just then? I don't know if you did or not, or if you did caught it, but I just said it looked like it was about to thunder, and a couple of minutes later, are we manifesting our reality? Who knows? That might be a discussion for something when I'm a little bit more prepared. But yeah, this guy, back to the story, put a gun in my head in what it turned out to be, because of all my tattoos. I was sort of wearing an LA cap as well at the time, which may be associated to certain gangs, and it was a red and black hat, again, colours and gangs, and sort of maybe not being as aware as I should be of my surroundings. He thought I was from a rival gang. He saw all my tats and saw me video and thought that I was in there doing some surveillance or recon. And funny enough, he apologised to me and sort of bumped my fist. And if you ever need anything, if you are living here, let us know. So it's always better to be sort of friends with the local cartel than enemies with them. But it was a little bit of a baptism of fire, and sort of made me very sort of reluctant to want to be out and about and recording something. I mean, it's not every day you get a gun shoved in your face, and in fact it's not the first time I've had a gun pointed at me, but it was the sort of first time it was up in my face, and a very horrible experience, and actually a little bit traumatic. I sort of didn't realise at the time, but I did have a few sort of nightmares about it afterwards, and not something you really expect to encounter in your daily routine. And as a sort of example that anything can and could happen at any sort of given time, and you can't always account for the actions of others. But I am here to tell the story. But those dogs, why are you getting agitated? Maybe because of the storm. They don't like storms. So I don't know exactly how much longer. Did you actually hear the thunder, Joe? Did anybody else hear it? And that's another reason, if you stream outside and get caught in the rain, and it sounds like a flock of birds is making an exodus. So maybe the storm is going to get a little bit more fiercer as the night goes on. But as I said, I'm sort of trying to hold the fort, hoping to hear word. I mean, we're sort of just over an hour after our intended stream time at 7 over at the shit show. I heard it, and the dogs are scared. Yeah, they don't like going even outside in the rain or when it's wet. And one of them doesn't like loud noises at all. So if the storm does sort of get bad, I'm probably going to have to sort of cut this short for you, and we're going to have to wait and see when we can reschedule for you at the shit show. But let me know if you've got anything of interest that you sort of want to say at the moment. But before I do forget, I did sort of, as part of our sort of scheduling today, plan an encore presentation of the FEMA stuff that we were looking at yesterday here on Reality Decoded. Funny enough, it's already got over 100 views, which is quite astounding for streams, certainly in recent times here at Reality Decoded, although I have got a few other streams and videos that have got over 100 views. But I'm sort of happy with 50 views, so anything sort of in triple digits is almost viral for me. But quite a sort of few people did miss it, and I did have to do an encore presentation, but just upload it as a premiere event. It's not going to be a live stream, but there will be a live chat, and I kind of figured that was going to be sort of the end to the last couple of days proceedings, would do the sort of live shit show stream, and sort of when that ended, hey guys, you want to come and hang out? We got an encore presentation premiering over at Reality Decoded. You can come and kick it in the chat. Even if you watched yesterday, it's just sort of a hangout for a few hours. But that is scheduled for 9/11 my time, which sort of did give me a window of 3 hours for the shit show stream. But I was thinking, as we're not hearing anything at the moment, and as I said, it's sort of been over a couple of hours that I've been trying to get hold of Al, so fingers crossed everything is all good there. But my guess is at the moment, maybe she fell asleep, maybe the phone was turned on silent or lost its charge while she was sleeping. And as we just said, let's sleep in dogs lie, let's sleep in princesses sleep. It's something that I used to be very starved of in my days in Toronto when I was chefing it up and working long hours in unsavoury, finishing work at 2 o'clock in the morning, not getting home sometimes till 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and sleeping away all of the day. It was hard, and when I was on sort of days off, and it was sort of in the darker months, then sleep was something I tried to get as much of there. I've been doing, as I said, I've sent messages, I've sent tweets. At the minute, it's sort of out of my hands. I'm just sort of waiting on words, there, and trying sort of not to worry that anything bad's happened. I'm not an alarmist, and I'm certainly not that. And this is it, I'm a single guy. I'm retired now.
I don't got anything to do any given time, any given minute of the day. I could literally, you know, go live if I really, really wanted to. But, you know, family life, kids, being mobile, you don't know what happens, and you know, best laid plans, as I said, sometimes have to go out of the window and be set aside for life to take care of life. But as I said, I hope nothing is of a bad nature is going on. And as I said, hopefully we will get word soon. But what I was thinking of doing is maybe going into my phone and editing the settings and start that encore presentation sooner than later. For you guys that are watching there, gods are intuits. Yeah, they are. They say animals have a wonderful judgment of character. If sort of dogs back away from someone, then probably you should back away from them. And if dogs run up to them and embrace them, then maybe that should be something you do, although not necessarily physically, but there you go. Maiden with the puzzled emoji there. Are you putting a little Cajun agent move on us, Shah? Or are you pondering something? But yeah, that was weird about talking about the thunder, and then we got a clap of thunder. Give me more thunder. I am the god of thunder. I am Thor, son of Odin, the All-Father. Give me a sign that you are manifesting. Let's see if we get a clap of yeah, my emoji ease isn't exactly very good, but that's the sort of puzzled thinking face, right? Funny enough, I did in one of my mimetic videos a girl who, she's a TikToker, in her TikTok kind of genre, if you even want to call that, or niche, is she's a human emoji. She wobbles her head and then becomes an emoji. Very, very strange. Yeah, Valhalla. I mean, I think if I was going to sort of get on board with religion and have a god, I would... Oh, we got some lightning. There was a flash of lightning then, guys, or maybe the neighbours turning on and off the light rapidly, but we might get a little taste of tropical thunder before we do that. But yeah, Odin would be a god I could sort of get behind. He's a little bit badass and warrior-like. Not exactly as judgmental as some of the other gods that you could believe in, but yeah, I'd be up for that. I might even start saying I'm an Odinist on application forms. Not that I tend to filling out any application forms anytime soon. Never watched TikTok. YT bad enough. I mean, no, this is the thing with TikTok, Denise, or Denise, whichever you prefer. I'd just go with the both, as I've said before many times probably. But you can't escape TikTok. You know, like, you can't always escape YouTube. You know, if you're on a Facebook or a Twitter or even an Instagram news feed, then there's a chance you will encounter a link to a YouTube video. But TikTok is sort of saturated all social media feeds, and all sort of social media feeds somehow are pushing TikTok videos in these sort of short, you know, YouTube sort of followed on with shorts. Facebook has stories, like Twitter, I believe, restricts the sort of amount of video time you can actually upload or present. And this sort of is, from, you know, my personal perspective as a creator, I make videos that are often longer than most people would tolerate sitting through, and you know, my competition is TikTok in memes. People are much happier to read a meme or watch a 2-minute TikTok video than sort of sit down and actually absorb information for 2 or 3 hours. But you know, the purpose of this is to sort of, you know, deliberately remove attention deficits from humanity, and I think even with TikTok you can't necessarily choose what you watch. As far as I'm aware, you like open it up and then it just bombards you with what it wants you to see, and a lot of the sort of videos that sort of do come out there are very, very strange and sort of bizarre. I did see an article the other day, although I might have to do a bit more digging to clarify it, but there was word that the United States might be banning TikTok due to the fact it is a Chinese company, and they are kind of suggesting that, you know, like the balloon, it might be spying on American citizens. But if you did watch yesterday, our FEMA Friday, you will be all too aware that what the United States government has planned for United States citizens is possibly way worse from anything they allege that China is doing it to its citizens. So don't always believe the hype that China and Russia are the bad guys and they're evil and draconian. No, they're probably the white hats in many of us who were led to believe, even though I was not American, I always sort of felt somehow tied to America some way, and even though I only lived in California for 4 years and spent nearly a decade in Toronto, I still have more affiliation with California and the United States than I sort of ever do with Toronto in Canada, although I do have a partial love-hate relationship with the city of Toronto because it was my home for nearly 10 years, but sort of Canada was never a place that really I fit, just because it's a cold climate. I'm a lizard. I need to be in the warmth. I need to be in the sun, not in the snow and ice. But that is a thing that regarding TikTok, that you can't avoid it. It's one way or another. You will be subjected to its content. If or not you choose to click on links, and that is the sort of thing with like YouTube links being shared in social media feeds. You don't get to see the video, you have to click on the link before the video plays. But with these TikTok videos, when you're sort of scrolling through and in the sort of settings on some news feeds, play those videos automatically, and even if you've sort of got the volume down and not listening to them, you do see all their weird. And that's kind of what I think drew my attention to, because I always sort of have my volume down on my phone, and never sort of hear videos unless I want to listen to them, then I pump it up. But what I sort of noticed, it didn't sort of matter what the TikToker was necessarily talking about, but many of them all kind of have this weird head movements and facial expression. They sort of, and sort of, as I was visualizing it without the audio, it's like they almost seem as though they're trying to sort of hypnotize or put you under a spell. Are they mages? Are they even like real people? I suspect some of the TikTok videos I've seen may even be CGI, and CGI is beyond the sort of capabilities that they tell us, the things you can achieve with CGI. And I've seen some of these sort of deep fake videos recently that you would be very, 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 you'd have to have a microscope or a very, very, very good eye in order to sort of tell straight away that this is fake. I'm a natural communicator. Maybe, maybe not. People always used to say I was a good talker back in the day before I was a YouTuber, and sort of people always used to like to listen to my stories. So maybe you're not wrong, Joe. But I certainly wouldn't go out of my way to say I'm a communicator, and sort of in public I'd sort of shy away from communication, and people are not really much of a people person these days, although I do enjoy, or used to enjoy, sort of going to the soccer stadium and hanging out with sort of like-minded buddies, singing, shouting, having a beer or two, maybe enjoying a little bit of naughty substances once in a blue moon. And the sort of stadium experience for me is a little bit, it is close to a spiritual experience for some people. I grew up sort of supporting my hometown soccer club there's few places I feel is comfortable than on the terraces and in the stands, sort of shouting and screaming, often abuse at the opposition. And for quite a good time of my youthful days, I was an avid and active and registered football hooligan. Maybe a story for some other days. But I'm thinking, guys, as I said, I've still got no word. We're like nearly an hour and a half past scheduled time, so it might be looking like the shit show for this evening will be abandoned, possibly rescheduled for a Sunday session tomorrow. But I did have a bunch of stuff sort of lined up for you for that, which I don't really want to go into now because it was purposely for the shit show. And as this was sort of plan B, I mean, I thought, what should I do? Should I start the stream? Should I cancel the premiere and bring the presentation in and watch it live? But as the premiere is already set up and scheduled, it would be easier for me just to edit the stream time for maybe 10 or 15 minutes and let that go on earlier than I had planned to. And as I said, we can just come and hang in the chat. I don't have to worry about streaming anymore. I can just type and take my phone and maybe sort of relax. But that was another thing I sort of was getting at earlier and probably never ever finished off on, was that we had 2 very grueling days of sort of producing shit videos. Thursday with the train wreck, that was quite a quickly thrown together stream. We sort of threw that together in an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. And didn't sort of run as smoothly as we had, but sort of once we sort of finished that stream, then thoughts started going into the sort of theme of Friday, and when we were putting the theme of Friday together, it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that was a very enjoyable experience, I think, for both of us. But it took a toll on both of us, and you know, when I was sort of speaking to Al this morning, we come up with our schedule for this evening. It was like, let's get it a little bit light-hearted and a little bit more relaxed, and let's not, for our personal sort of reasons, let's not dive too deeply into anything this evening, because, as I said, you know, researching, putting stuff together does take a lot of mental effort and does leave you a little bit mentally drained at the end of it. But it was a very exhilarating feeling last night once I sort of did shut all the devices down and the sort of dust had settled. I'd sort of been looking for that sort of experience for sort of quite some time, and certainly in recent weeks at Reality Decoded, shit show aside, that's been running very smoothly and going very, very well. But sort of trying to kickstart Reality Decoded after a very, very long time of inactivity has been almost like starting a brand new channel from scratch, and the sort of disheartening thing that differs from starting a channel from scratch. When you start from scratch, you more than likely don't have any subscribers other than maybe some sort of close friends or accounts you created to make it look like you've got a couple of subscribers, and essentially providing you a platform to put a couple of views in some minutes on the board, which is the case here at YouTube. But when you're trying to restart a channel and you sort of do have sort of subscribers that you haven't been providing content for sort of some months, and they don't tend to sort of come back when you are streaming, and I do understand the majority of the reason for that is YouTube not notifying people. And Kelly Keebs, are you in the chat, darling? Let me know if you are. You were here earlier. But she was saying that she can't even find my channel, and you can't search for Reality Decoded. You need a link to find it, and you know, this is, you know, Reality Decoded and TSP TV were very, very shadow banned, very, very passively censored. And TSP TV actually was very aggressively censored, which has sort of essentially killed that channel. It's still active, but there's you know, it's pointless me trying to use it. It might as well be invisible, even though it is still there. And sort of after nearly a year of inactivity here at Reality Decoded, then the algorithm is pushed me right down to the bottom. But the strange thing is that in the months of inactivity, I started to get more and more views on some of my older videos, in particular the Soylent Green Decoded. That's nearly 2.3 thousand views, which is astronomical amount for me, and way more than I ever expected it to get there. But you know, that's the thing, YouTube isn't going to notify you. It doesn't give you notifications on the shit show streams, or if they do, it's sort of after the fact. They do go out of their way to try and make people miss them. And sort of funny enough, yesterday, bearing in mind we were kind of talking about some sensitive subjects, according to, you know, maybe community standards, types, and what have you. I experienced my stream, you know, it abruptly ended because my battery died. But the strange thing for me is that my battery was fully charged prior to going live, and I've done longer streams than the point it cut out and shut down yesterday. Previously, like, I should be able to stream for 6-7 hours just off of the battery alone if it's fully charged, which it almost was. And then we also had some difficulties at the shit show where Elle couldn't hear me on her side. She had to listen to me through the live stream, and it sort of caused a delay. And you've got to sort of wonder and consider, was this some kind of censorship, and was this targeted? Was the algorithm shit, these two are talking stuff they really shouldn't be? Let's go out of our way to shut this down the best way we can. But let's have a look at a couple of these comments. Denise, no worries, we love you all. Thank you, sweetheart. Right back at you. You all have done a ton, no doubt. Too much probably. Yeah, I mean, I get a little bit obsessive with some of my research and can become very obsessed when I get down the tunnel. In a little bit yesterday, I was like, I'm ready to dive more deeper than before to find you some FEMA secrets, but I sort of did manage to sort of pull myself away from doing that and go and get some shut eye and woke up a little bit more refreshed. But still very eager to sort of carry on, you know, down that particular route. And I can get a little bit tunnel visioned, which I think was why we sort of decided let's come out of that and not sort of become very one-tracked or polarized, and bring a little bit of a magazine review of the week, which was sort of the initial platform, you know, streaming experience we were sort of going for with the shit show, that it was going to be sort of once a week at the very least, and we sort of do a little bit of roundup and review of what we've been seeing, talking the shit at the shit show. But Reality Decoded, as I said, was sort of a channel I put a lot more effort than I ever sort of did into Reality Decoded, and it's sort of a channel, TSP TV rather, and it's sort of a channel I think I've become far more attached to than I sort of was at TSP TV, and sort of, I don't know, it has a little bit more of me in it, I guess, or things that I'm sort of more interested in, although I am interested in prepper, although I'm not very prepared at the moment. That's a project that I've got to get around to. But I find researching in very exhilarating. It's something I've done all my life since, you know, the late 1980s, or actually maybe the mid 1980s, when I first, you know, as a teenager at school, started looking into Bigfoot, Bermuda Triangles, UFOs, and stuff like that. And sort of by the end of that decade, and I was, you know, reaching adulthood, then the sort of world of the New World Order opened up to me, and I've seen many of the things that were prophesized back then in the 1980s sort of come to be, and it's been something that for many years was entertainment for me until a certain September Tuesday, when it sort of stopped being entertaining and become like survival. You need to know your enemy, you need to know what you're up against, and you know, that is why I provide you more information than you could possibly want on certain subjects, and that is sort of partly because of my drive and obsession to sort of have a thirst for knowledge that sometimes cannot be quenched, and I'm not sure if or not that is a good quality or a bad quality to have. But that being said, guys, I think I am going to go over to my studio app and edit the time for the encore presentation, and I'm probably just going to delete this plan B stream. As I said, it was sort of a little backup plan. Let's wait it out, let's see if we hear any word. I've nearly been 45 minutes now streaming in monologuing to you all. And that's another thing that's a little bit strange to me. I've got so sort of used to having a co-host over the last sort of 5 or 6 weeks, you know, because although today was going to be our sort of first anniversary of officially being a shit show, we had a month of dummy runs and drills and practices that Al was wonderful enough to host on her channel. But as I said, I'm going to go in and see if I can do some editing. Hold on, I've got to go. If I can. Right, March. No. It won't let me change the time. Damn you. I might have to go into the computer. Bear with me, guys, because I want to get the link for you, if I can do that. This is where you need a co-host to fill in the gaps, and dead air is bad air. What am I doing? Switching accounts. Sorry about that, but as I said, guys, I did have that sort of scheduled, and that was sort of the plan to the end of the sort of proceedings, that once we finished over at the shit show. Denise, are you leaving us, darling? I don't blame you, actually. It's probably a little bit depressing, but it would be nice, as I said, for some of you who didn't watch it, I thought it'd be a good idea, and it was sort of an end to the proceedings, I guess, for... What am I doing here? Using my phone. But some of you new regular offenders have asked me in the past, or have asked me recently rather. Sorry, how do I do this? I know there's a way. I was just there. If I wouldn't mind re-streaming some of my older content, which I actually have sort of no issues doing. What time is it now? Alright, I'm going to put it for 7:45, which is just over 10 minutes away. And let me save the changes. Right, that's changed. As I said, I didn't want to start that in case I got word from Al. We had to sort of stop it in between. But the other sort of reason that I did want to do an encore presentation was because yesterday, as we were chatting about, my phone abruptly ended that stream by shutting itself down, or the battery running out. But the part of the stream that we were about to get to, which is again interesting that it chose that particular time to shut itself down, we were about to get to a certain September Tuesday and hear how FEMA arrived on the 10th of September, and they were already and waiting in a place to go as proceedings unfolded on that day. Let's have a little look. That's upcoming. Right, bear with me guys, I'm doing my best here to provide you with the link for that, and as I said, this stream is definitely going to be deleted. There's nothing worth keeping in this. It really was, as I said, plan B, to sort of sit out and wait to see if we got word from Al and if we were going to be starting the shit show this evening. But I'm going to not confirm it, but suggest that you might have to tune in tomorrow, and tonight's Saturday night shit show will probably become a Sunday session. But check this space, we'll try and let you know the best we can. You know, we have to be our own algorithm and notify you the best that we can. I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to send you the link, right? That is what I'm trying to do. There is the link for the premiere event. I mean, by no obligations, guys, or you are under no obligation to come and join me. It was, as I said, a little bit more for my own personal reasons that I wanted to do an encore presentation, because I wanted to get a complete version up, because as that stream shut down earlier, there are still about sort of 15 or 20 minutes of really hard and deep, dark information regarding FEMA, and just some of the things they seem to have a knack of being in the right place at the right time when they need to be, when they are actually needed to be somewhere. They sometimes don't arrive till at least a month after the fact. But there is a link there, guys. That is going to be starting in about 9 minutes time. So if or not you want to come and join me, I will be following on with you on your phone. But I'm sort of streamed out at the moment in sort of waiting and sort of anticipation, and word is sort of partly activating my mind that I'm a little bit concerned about my partner. I hope everything is all right. And all I can do is apologise on behalf of Shit Video Productions for being unable to, as of this moment, bring you this evening's intended shit show live stream. But Joe, you were asking during the intro for the dancing girl. Can I find her? Yes, I can. I'm going to line her up for you all. Sorry, it looks weird to you. I should probably turn the camera off, which I'm going to do now, and the microphone won't be much further behind being shut down as I do get ready to bid you all a farewell. Thank you for coming and joining me in waiting out, but as I said, we're kind of getting up to the hour mark now. How long we can wait and how much longer I can sort of just wing it, talking about whatever pops into my head. I don't know how much longer, as I said, I can drag this out for. I'm already sort of struggling now. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much for those of you that did join me for this Plan B, unplanned, impromptu backup stream to keep you occupied while we were waiting for word. And as I said, if you do want to come and hang out with me in the chat over on that feature, that premiere encore presentation of the FEMA double bill, you're more than welcome to, but under no obligations at all to do so. Said we've got 7 watching now. Always is the case. Do you remember Glynis, Maiden? Are you still watching? If you are, remember the Gusset Girls? We used to always get a Gusset Girl. Sometimes I actually used to start my streams by telling everybody, all right guys, we're going to be wrapping things up momentarily. Thanks for sort of tuning in. And somehow that always managed to sort of trigger people to arrive. And if not, that's the algorithm. Wait, we need people online to steal their data. If he gets a couple more viewers, we'll be able to do so. So let's throw a couple of Gusset Girls in the mix. But something we haven't had for a little while is a Gusset Girl, so let's just give it a second to see if somebody shows up. I don't think we ever give her a name, did we? Or did we? I can't remember, perhaps we did. But maybe that might be a little competition for some of you all if you want to name the little dancing girl that sees us out in the end of each Shit Video Production live stream here at Reality Decoded. That's up to you. You can add your suggestions now or at a later date. But for now, guys, I'm going to say a good night. Take care. May the force be with you all, and remember to be excellent with each other. And we will see you in another Shit Video Production stream here at Reality Decoded or over at the Shit Show. You're going to have to do a little bit of effort and work for yourself in finding out where, but we will do our utmost to provide you with all the information and links that you should need in order to make sure you don't miss that. So I will be waiting in chat if anybody comes and joins me, but until then, guys, see you next time.